My topic is teaching Israel and Palestine, which is something that I do on a regular basis at the University of Manitoba through a course on cinema in Israel-Palestine. I wasn't scheduled to teach the course this academic year, but due to a chilling instance of speech clampdown at my university in the aftermath of the Hamas attacks and the ongoing Israeli retaliation, I was compelled to reflect with a considerable sense of alarm what the class would look like in its next iteration. In fact, I ended up writing a long article about the clampdown, the injustice done to the person at the heart of it, its potential impact on my teaching, and on the need for a reversing of course. The piece found its way to members of the JFN who invited me to share about the whole mishegas and bring people up to date. In November, Arij Al-Kafaji, a U of M nursing student, was suspended for the entire remainder of the academic year and given a 5-year mark on her transcript on charges of making anti-Semitic posts on her Instagram page. The apparently worst of these posts shared a cartoon of an Israeli soldier holding a machine gun over a distressed Palestinian in a pile of rubble and looking in a mirror and seeing himself as a Nazi, above which a caption read, "The irony of becoming what you once hated." When I examined the screen-grabbed evidence for myself, I began to think of a passage in S. Yazar's Kirbet Kiza, a famous Israeli novella published in 1949 that I teach in my course, in which the narrator, a soldier recalling his involvement in the expulsion of Palestinian villagers from the titular village during the War of Independence, the Nakba, draws an uneasy connection between the army's actions and the history of violence against Jews, unmistakably including the Nazi chapter. Quote, "Oh, my guts screamed. What hadn't they taught us about refugees? Everything. Everything was for the refugees, their welfare, their rescue, our refugees, naturally. Those we were driving out, that was a totally different matter. Wait, 2,000 years of exile, the whole story, Jews being killed, Europe, we were the masters now," end quote. Indeed, if one were to imagine an illustrated version of Kirbet Kiza, and maybe the great graphic journalist Joe Sacco could do one, the cartoon that Al-Kafaji posted to Instagram would well capture the narrator's train of thought. In both the cartoon and the novella, the parallel being drawn is narrow and non-essentializing, comparing Nazism not with Jews in general or even all Israelis, but very specifically with Israeli state military violence. In short, it is not anti-Semitic, unless, of course, one invokes the controversial IHRA definition, which is effectively what the ruling against Al-Kafaji did. I thus came to ponder whether I shouldn't too be brought before a disciplinary committee for teaching Kirbet Kiza and other material like it, and whether students and faculty might now expect to be surveilled in the classroom and beyond, indeed out onto their social media pages, for crossing a line that has been spuriously drawn by the suspension ruling. Since writing the article, I've also grown increasingly concerned about the ability to speak out against Israel and the pronounced vulnerable status of students, to which Al-Kafaji's case attests, pre-tenured faculty and non-tenured faculty, that is adjuncts, who in today's neoliberal university environment teach the majority of classes. As the American Association of University Professors writes, faced with the lack of protections of academic freedom afforded by tenure, quote, contingent faculty may be less likely to take risks in the classroom or in scholarly and service work. The free exchange of ideas may be hampered by the specter of potential dismissal or non-renewal for unpopular utterances, end quote. The situation right now on campuses like my own, in which punitive actions have been unjustly taken against people for allegedly anti-Semitic criticisms of Israel's genocidal actions in Gaza, throws this problem into bold relief and makes clear the need for synergy between campus-based anti-capitalist struggle, in which the fight against adjunctification plays a key role, and pro-Palestinian activism. But let me end on a tentatively optimistic note. Around 2 weeks ago, in the wake of much advocacy and continuing an incredible display of resolve that no one should take for granted, Al-Kafaji won her appeal and was reinstated. Fighting back against a chilling instance of speech suppression premised on a bogus conflation of anti-Semitism and criticism of Israel paid off. This should be emboldening for anyone engaged in similar struggles. At the same time, in the absence of any apology or statement of reckoning from the Faculty of Health Sciences that suspended Al-Kafaji or from the university administration, it is not my impression that the huge current of anxiety that was whipped up among students and faculty has been dispelled. especially regarding the teaching of Israel and Palestine. This is serious because what we need is a significant expansion of the classroom out into the wider university community. Very few courses on Israel and Palestine are offered each year, and yet what has been happening since October 7th has gripped the popular consciousness. How to teach about Israel and Palestine to a large general audience. Film screenings and book clubs seem like good ideas. One could begin, say, with two recent, much talked about works, the documentary Israelism and the personally inflected history, The 100 Years' War on Palestine by Rashid Khalidi. At least this way, there would be a common text in the class, a concrete object around which to discuss various views. Yet, whatever the format, for these events to thrive, we need the specter of what happened to Al-Kafaji to be much more assuredly laid to rest. Thank you.